The story begins with the sight of a castle where a massacre has taken place. The corpses of countless demons are scattered everywhere, but one of them has managed to survive. He wheezes, "You've really crossed the line, Rafi's Findika. Do you honestly think you can get away with a slaughter like this?" Rafi's replies, "Did you think I was blind to everything the Hill family has done? This isn't a massacre. This is the Findika way, an execution," and he immediately finishes him off. So, Rafi's is actually the son of the Demon King. He wiped out the Hill family because he believed they had committed treason. The scene then shifts to Rafi's father, the Demon King himself, standing before the now captured and shackled Rafi's. He booms, "How dare you pull a stunt like this? You don't know your place. I ordered you to bring back evidence of their treason. I never commanded you to annihilate an entire family. You are a Findika, yet you dare to disrupt the natural order of the demon realm. This time you have gone too far. The Demon King's name is Gamadaya Gis." Rafi's retorts, "What are you talking about, father? The evidence is everywhere. You know as well as I do that those scum were beyond saving because of the elders backing the Hill family. Even with evidence, we couldn't punish them properly. Do you have any idea how many crimes have been swept under the rug?" But his father replies, "An execution requires due process. The law does not care for your petty judgment. Due process." Rafi's laughs bitterly. "How ridiculous! Darkness is meant to be devoured by an even deeper darkness. Isn't that the law of survival in the demon realm? Father, Demon King, if you can't even swallow up a darkness as blatant as theirs, how can the Findika line claim to rule this realm? Don't you see the current order is entirely controlled by the nobles?" His father responds coldly, "To think your outlook would be this narrow. How foolish. The Findika line could only survive if the Hill family was destroyed," Rafi's argues. "In the end, they resorted to all kinds of atrocities just to seize the throne. Isn't that why you sent me as an investigator? To replace those cowards who hide behind the Hill family and ignore the order of this world." The Demon King falls silent for a moment before speaking. "It seems we will never understand each other. Your punishment has been decided by the 12 Black Thrones, Rafi's Findika. For violating the laws of the demon realm and slaughtering the Hill family, you are hereby banished to the human realm." Rafi's gasps in shock. "The human realm? Impossible. Father, are you serious? Atone for your sins in a realm where your powers will be sealed," the Demon King commands. "Go learn the true dignity of a Findika." "No, father. Even if the Hills slaughtered people, they never destroyed souls." Rafi's protests. Unmoved, the Demon King orders his subordinates, "Why are you still standing there? Execute the sentence immediately." Robed figures step forward to banish Rafi's, who refuses to accept his fate. "How dare you do this to me? Stop this instant. I'm not going anywhere because I did nothing wrong." Ignoring his protests, they cast their magic, binding it directly to Rafi's body. He thrashes violently against the spell. One of the executioners sneers, "Enjoy your time, you mad prince." Rafi seethes with pure rage. The executioner adds, "I'll make sure to take very good care of this place while you're gone." Hearing this, Rafi's glares at him in absolute fury. Even his agony rips through him. Rafi's Findika is officially sentenced to fall to the human realm. As he descends, the laws of the human realm manifest. You must live out your life earnestly in the body you inhabit. You cannot end your own life before its natural time. You must not take the life of another human. Any violation of these rules will result in the complete erasure of your soul. Suddenly, he wakes up inside a human body. He blinks, examining his hands and torso, utterly furious that he has actually been cast down to the human realm. "Ram, that utter bastard. He set me up. So that guy's name was Ram. The moment I get back, I'm tearing his horns right off his head." But then, a wave of pain washes over him. What is wrong with this human body? Am I really trapped inside this pathetic shell? The Hill family bastards were utterly useless to the bitter end, but why is it so hard to breathe here? Is there nowhere nearby, with a decent sulfur flow? Suddenly, a young girl bursts into the room. "Brother, what are you talking about?" He He freezes, startled by the word brother. The girl cries out tears of relief. You're finally awake. Thank goodness. She throws her arms around him. I thought you were never going to wake up again. Rafi stares at her, bewildered. Who on earth is she? Is she a blood relative of this body? Just then, an older woman rushes in, calling him Miho. Thank you so much for waking up. You must have been in so much pain all this time. So, this human body's name is Miho. Miho tries to process the situation. What kind of mess have I landed in, and what am I supposed to do now? They always said the human realm is one of the 3 great hells. Can I really survive here? Before he can think further, a man enters the room, clearly the father of the family. Are you awake? The mother speaks up softly. Dear, Miho just opened his eyes. However, the father's gaze is incredibly cold, completely devoid of warmth or concern. He barks, get yourself ready. You're going back to school tomorrow. You've been lying around for a whole week, so you have a lot of catching up to do. The mother looks worriedly at Miho, knowing how frail his condition still is. But the father dismisses her concerns, telling her to be quiet. To him, the fact that Miho is awake is more than enough. His younger sister asks timidly, Brother, are you really okay? Strangely enough, Miho realizes he actually likes this human man. He is drawn to the father's cold, detached demeanor because it feels inherently demonic. A genuine grin spreads across Miho's face, leaving his sister utterly bewildered by his sudden change in behavior. Miho quickly catches himself. Get a grip. I let my guard down and smiled instinctively. I need to be careful until this body's memories fully return. The next scene opens at school. Miho has just arrived, dropped off by his mother. Ah, so this is a human school. His mother says anxiously, if you start feeling unwell during class, please call me right away, okay? She is practically bursting with worry. Miho thinks to himself, I went to school in the demon realm 600 years ago. Entering a human school in my current age, there really is no worse hell than this. To him, the human realm truly feels like purgatory. He steps into the classroom. Humans can't even manage to live up to 100 years. I'd better behave myself so my soul doesn't get erased. I bought myself some time by destroying the Hill family. All I need to do is bide my time, return to the demon realm, and inherit my father's throne before the royal Vindica bloodline is threatened again. Suddenly, a classmate calls out to him, Hey, long time no see. Miho has no idea who he is. The boy sneers. Miho, did you bring the protection money you missed while you were gone? Instantly, Miho's body begins to tremble with fear. This body is reacting on its own. Looks like this guy's a bully. In that exact moment, a flood of the original Miho's memories hits him. He sees flashes of himself being relentlessly tormented by these guys, beaten repeatedly until he was sobbing on the floor. Experiencing the sheer weight of those bitter memories, Miho realizes, so the reason this entire body was aching so badly is because of them. The bully slaps the back of Miho's head. What are you so scared of your pal for? Look at you, getting more pathetic by the day. It's been a while, so let's have a proper reunion. Hurry up and hand over the cash as a token of our friendship. Miho thinks, don't tell me I'm about to get beaten up right now. Pure fury wells up inside him as he recalls a lesson from his days back at the Demon Academy. His teacher had explained, pay close attention. Humans are incredibly low creatures. They will resort to anything just to mask their own weaknesses. They're a foolish race that worships demons and angels at the exact same time. The young Rafis had raised his hand, saying, in that case, shouldn't we just burn those foolish creatures to ash? The teacher had smiled proudly. Exactly. If you ever face a human, crush their insolence beneath your feet. Back in the present, Miho's eyes burn with rage. How dare these mere humans presume to lay a finger on me? He suddenly stands up and grabs the bully by the hair. You humans really are stupid. With a brutal burst of movement, he slams the boy's head violently against the desk. The bully thrashes, screaming for Miho to let go. Seeing this, one of the bully's lackeys jumps up in a rage to defend his friend. Have you lost your damn mind? Miho locks eyes with him, a sharp glare cutting through the room. My demonic power, it's reacting. The second boy charges at him, throwing a punch. You want to die? Miho dodges the fist effortlessly. I see. Human malice awakens demonic power. There's a direct link between curses and demonic energy. Without missing a beat, Miho counters, striking the boy with such force that he is sent flying across the room. The rest of the classmates watch in absolute horror. Demonic power is supposed to be sealed in the human realm, but even inside a human vessel, it responds to hatred. One student thinks in shock, is that really the Miho I know? The first bully recovers, lifting a chair over his head, preparing to smash it down onto Miho's skull. A boy wearing glasses yells out a warning. Watch out. Miho spins around instantly and delivers a vicious kick straight into the bully's chest. The boy collapses, gasping for air in agonizing pain and utter disbelief. Ow, how are you doing this to me? Miho looks down at him coldly. They say humans act tough just to hide how weak they are. Did you really think throwing around cheap threats actually made you strong? He drives another brutal kick into the boy. Let me tell you something. The very origin of human malice is my mother tongue. With that final blow, the bully knocks out cold on the floor. The classroom falls dead silent. No one can comprehend how Miho just dismantled both of the class bullies so effortlessly. Miho smiles a wicked, sinister grin. Whatever the case, Father, all I have to do is keep a low profile and get through this banishment. He turns to his stunned classmates, his terrifying smile sending shivers down their spines. Hey, you guys over there. Anyone else feel like throwing some threats my way? He looks every bit a demon. Well, because he truly is one. The students stare at him, completely paralyzed with fear and confusion. Is that really Miho? Has he always been this strong? The boy with glasses walks up, trembling slightly. Are you okay? Miho notes the boy's intervention. This one tried to help me earlier. He looks like perfect material to be my servant. Aloud, Miho simply replies, I'm fine. Eventually, the school day ends. Miho walks home alongside the glasses-wearing boy, who can't contain his excitement. Seriously, how did you take them all down by yourself? You were incredibly cool, Miho. Are you like an ice guy reincarnated or something? Miho freezes. Did he figure it out? The boy presses on. Did you get reincarnated from a martial arts world? Or maybe a game world? Miho panics internally. Don't tell me this servant already knows my true identity. His mind flashes back to a conversation in the demon realm. Ram had warned him, Rafi's in the human realm, you must never kill a human. Doing so will result in the erasure of your soul. Rafi's had scoffed, so what? Didn't Instructor Taya say we should crush vulgar humans? That was just a lecture, Ram countered sternly. You cannot take human death lightly. We are the gods who govern death itself. But humans keep trying to kill each other anyway, don't they? That's because they are foolish, Ram replied. And that is exactly why we exist. Remember this well. If you kill a human, your soul will be wiped from existence. Whatever, it doesn't matter anyway. I'm a demon god. I'll never have a reason to go to the human realm. Recalling that conversation, Miho grinds his teeth. If I can't kill humans, how am I supposed to keep their mouths shut? The glasses-wearing boy sighs wistfully. Man, if reincarnation is real, that must be so nice. I wish I could wake up in another world. Sensing the boy's emotions, Miho detects a thick, heavy scent of despair and pain wafting off him. I know better than anyone that things like reincarnation are completely absurd, the boy thinks to himself. How much did you have to endure before you finally snapped? Miho lets out a sigh of relief, a smirk playing on his lips. Ah, so he didn't actually figure it out. He was just making things up. The boy beams at him. You were seriously amazing today, Miho. Miho flinches, getting goosebumps from being praised by a mere human. Later that evening, Miho is back in his room, contemplating his situation. When a human expresses hatred, my demonic power clearly activates. A demon confined to a human body shouldn't be able to channel demonic power at all. What is happening to me? Then again, it makes sense. As if a mere seal could ever truly hold me back. I am a prince of hell. Suddenly, a sharp, agonizing pain shoots through his entire body. Damn it, This vessel is far too weak to handle my demonic power. My whole body feels like it's tearing apart. I've only lived as a human for a single day, and it's already this unbearable. If it hurts this badly, how am I supposed to get any sleep? Despite the intense pain, his physical exhaustion takes over, and he blacks out into a deep sleep. The next morning arrives. Miho sets off for school once again, running into the boy with glasses along the way. He sighed and said, "Man, how long has it been since I last experienced a normal school life?" "Thanks, Miho. Because of you, nobody is messing with us anymore." Miho shrugged. "Whatever. I just preferred beating them up anyway." Internally, however, Miho was thinking about testing the limits of his demonic power again. His response left the boy utterly stunned. Suddenly, a voice called out to the two of them. As it turns out, the boy with glasses is named Jang. He and Miho were suddenly confronted by the exact same gang of bullies from before. This time, the lead bully had brought his older brother along to ambush Miho. The older brother stepped forward, sneering. "So you're the one who messed with my little brother? I've been protecting you all this time for just a bit of pocket change. And this is how you repay my kindness." Jang began to tremble with fear. Miho, on the other hand, was absolutely thrilled by the confrontation. His heart practically fluttered with joy as he proudly declared, "Yep, that was me." The man gestured for Miho to follow him into an alley. Miho happily complied, a spring in his step. As they walked, the older brother grumbled to his sibling, "Rio, I told you to never let yourself get beaten up. And yet, you let yourself get thrashed by a scrawny, dried-up rat like him." Note, the full name of our protagonist vessel is Jang Miho Hoya, while the glasses-wearing boy's name is actually Shaun. The older brother stopped and faced Miho. "Now, what should we do about this? If I let you off the hook, I'll look like a terrible big brother who can't even protect his own family. Is that how your mother raised you?" He reached out, aiming straight for Miho's head. "Did your mother teach you to beat up your good friends?" Miho smirked. "Yeah, pretty much." The man froze, completely taken aback. "Are you mocking me?" He immediately swung his hand to slap Miho, but Miho merely smiled. A mature human's insult that brings someone's mother into it is always a delightful trigger. With effortless grace, Miho intercepted the man's wrist, stopping the strike dead in its tracks. He tightened his grip, squeezing with immense force. What the hell is wrong with this kid's grip? The man panicked internally. Miho declared aloud, "O powerful mother who poisons the tongues of humanity. You once said that violence only binds the flesh, but a foul voice eats away at the soul. Well, these miserable bastards are dying to meet you." With a brutal surge of strength, Miho unleashed a solo beatdown on the entire gang. The absolute ease with which he overpowered them left the thugs completely shell-shocked. Within moments, the older brother was left battered, bruised, and bloody. Desperate, the man screamed to his crew, "Help me! Swarm him!" Miho's eyes gleamed. "So, you're all going to rush me at once? Perfect. That makes things much easier." Moving like a blur, he systematically dismantled every single person in the alley. It was incredibly easy, and for him, deeply entertaining. Shaun watched from the sidelines, his jaw dropping in pure shock. How can he possibly be this strong? Before long, Miho stood alone amidst a pile of unconscious, helpless bodies. He stretched, a wave of profound satisfaction washing over him. "Ah, this is so refreshing." The act of violence brought back a memory of his uncle. Uncle used to inflict violence upon humans whenever mother created a curse or an insult. Now I finally understand. Why did you allow humans to use violence? Thank you, Uncle. Miho felt as though he had received a divine blessing. Shaun could only stare at his friend in stunned silence. High above them on a ledge, a small rat sat quietly, observing the entire scene. It was a familiar from the demon realm, acting as a spy. Back in the demon realm, a voice echoed through the familiar's connection. "As you can see, the task you commanded has been executed perfectly, my cute little nephew." The entity watching was Rafiz's uncle, Lord Barkin. "It seems you quite like your uncle's gift," Barkin murmured, watching Miho through the rat's eyes. Ram stood nearby as Barkin contemplated his next move. The black demonic stone has been embedded in your eyes instead of the forbidden stone, Ram thought. Let's see how long you can endure it, Rafis. Barkin turned his attention to Ram, his tone shifting to irritation. That insolent Rafis. He really went and slaughtered the entire Hill family. Rafis only ever feels satisfied when everything goes exactly his way, Ram replied smoothly. Barkin sighed. Who could possibly soften that stubborn brat? Still, casting him down to the human realm without a second thought. Even Gamudare showed absolutely no mercy. When dealing with a cruel, high-tier entity, the only thing that works is absolute submission to power, Ram noted calmly. That is the fundamental principle of the Demon King, Gamudare. The human realm is the dumping ground where the demon realm sends its worst criminals, Barkin countered. Rafis won't adapt easily. That little brat grows fast, and he's already causing trouble. Ram smirked slightly. Which is exactly why you gave him the black demonic stone, is it not, Lord Barkin? Ram then bowed slightly. Lord Barkin, the preparations to manifest the sinner's sent to the human realm are complete. Show me, Barkin commanded. He conjured a massive, swirling chalice in front of him, pouring a strange substance into the liquid. Since Rafis has descended to the human realm, he will inevitably have to face them. Deep within the liquid, the reflections of countless horrifying demons began to writhe and howl. Barkin smiled darkly. I'm looking forward to it. My dear nephew Rafis, you are about to experience true darkness. The scene shifts to a cafe, where Miho and Shaun are sitting across from each other, having a meal. Seriously, Miho, what is up with you? Shaun asked between bites, still riding the adrenaline from earlier. You took down Rio's older brother like it was nothing. You were so cool. I felt like I was watching a movie. Miho, however, was preoccupied. He was currently chewing on a dish that was overwhelmingly, deceptively spicy. They always claimed this stuff tastes like the fires of hell, but it's nothing special, he muttered. Tears were streaming down his face from the sheer heat, though his pride refused to let him admit it. This is just sweat. Shaun chuckled, shaking his head. I told you that you should have started with the beginner spice level. A demon who avoids hell is no demon at all. Miho thought stubbornly. Try to swallow the food. Suddenly, Shaun's phone buzzed with an incoming call. The screen displayed the name, Jean Jahoi. Shaun's face instantly went pale, a look of pure dread washing over him. Miho noticed the shift. Why aren't you answering the phone? Shaun scrambled to his feet, his movements frantic and unnatural. Miho, I have an urgent call I need to take. I have to go first. Please, enjoy the rest of your food. He practically sprinted out of the cafe. Miho watched him go, completely indifferent to his strange behavior. The scene transitions to a dimly lit room inside an old building. A man was lying down, getting a tattoo forced onto his forehead by a stern-looking woman. Don't move, the woman warned coldly. You get hurt. You should have paid your debts on time. The man with the needle to his forehead whimpered in pain. He was clearly a debtor who had defaulted. You're just adding to my workload, she grumbled, finishing the final stroke. She wiped the ink away, revealing the freshly carved mark right on his forehead. There, all done. Looks like it took well. You got good skin. Just then, Shaun nervously entered the room. The woman snapped her head toward him. Why the hell are you so late? This woman was Jean Gies. Come here and look at this, Jean ordered, pointing at the debtor. Open your eyes wide and take a good look. Do you know what this says? It says thief. This is his punishment for not clearing his debt. Now what about you, Shaun? Is our little arrangement going smoothly? Shaun trembled violently, his voice catching in his throat as the threats kept piling up. Do you think this is a joke? Jean barked, irritated by his silence. Why are you being so damn slow? She lunged forward, grabbing Shaun roughly by the wrist. Maybe you'll finally understand if I carve a warning straight into your hand. Terrified, Shaun began to weep, begging and pleading for mercy. Jean glared down at him. Shaun, listen to me very carefully. This is the absolute last chance I'm giving you. You don't want to end up lying on the floor like him, do you? Then do exactly as I say. and make sure everything is prepared flawlessly. Later that night, Shaun was back in his room, staring blankly at his computer screen. Can I really pull this off? He thought, his hands shaking. But if I don't do it, Jean will ruin me. Meanwhile, inside Miho's bedroom, the Prince of Hell was clutching his stomach in absolute agony. The delayed effects of a spicy food had finally hit him. Is this what they call a low spice tolerance? Miho writhed on his bed, groaning. My stomach feels like it's a literal furnace, and it feels like my entire body is going to collapse. I barely even fought today, yet my shoulders feel like they're about to fall off. This pathetic, weak human shell. He forced himself out of bed and dropped to the floor. Rafi's Findica, will not be brought down by something as trivial as this. He began furiously doing push-ups and sit-ups. I will whip this garbage body into shape, no matter what it takes. No amount of pain will make me yield. He pushed through the agonizing cramps, training late into the night. The next day at school, Shaun was sitting at his desk, staring intently at a flash drive in his hand. It contained a specific application. This app is far too dangerous, Shaun thought, his anxiety spiking. He recalled Jin's chilling warning to ensure everything was prepared perfectly. Overwhelmed with dread, he put his head in his hands. What am I supposed to do? Suddenly, Miho clapped a hand on his shoulder, startling him. What's wrong with you? Why are you jumping out of your skin like that? Shaun looked up at him. Should I ask Miho for help? He wondered. No. If I involve him, the current Miho will be in grave danger. If he gets mixed up with Jin, he'll get hurt. I can't drag him into this. Before Shaun could say anything, Miho's eyes widened. He caught a scent in the air, a faint, distinct aroma he had smelled once before. Just then, a female student collapsed right in front of them in the hallway. Her name was Sunji. Shaun rushed to her side, trying to shake her awake. Sunji, are you okay? Are you hurt? She remained completely unconscious. Miho stared at her body, his mind racing. This presence, it's demonic energy. How can a human possess demonic energy? Before he could investigate further, a teacher rushed over to the commotion. What happened here? Hang in there. I'm taking her to the infirmary right now. The teacher hoisted the unconscious girl into his arms and hurried away. But in that brief moment, Miho caught sight of a strange mark branded on his Sunji's hand. His eyes narrowed in absolute disbelief. That's the crest of the Hill family. Why is a demon crest on a human body? How is this possible? I need to verify this myself. Later that afternoon, Miho arrived at the hospital where Sunji had been admitted. He navigated the corridors until he found her room, but as he reached for the doorknob, a guard stepped in his path. Hey kid, hold on a second. Are you a friend of Sunji's? She needs absolute rest right now, so no visitors are allowed. Miho didn't blink. He locked eyes with the guard, his pupils dilating as he channeled his magic. I grant you oblivion. The guard's eyes instantly went vacant, completely hypnotized. He slouched down into a nearby chair, staring blankly into space. Even with my demonic power suppressed to this pathetic level, basic hypnosis still works, Miho noted. But it's only temporary. He slipped past the guard and entered the room. Sunji was awake, resting in bed. She bolted upright, staring at him blankly. What is this? Who are you? Miho closed the door behind him and turned around slowly. The real question is, who are you? Why did you just burst into my room? She demanded. In a flash, Miho crossed the room and grabbed her wrist, flipping her hand over to expose the mark. How dare a mere human bear the crest of the Hill family? Speak. Sunji panicked, thrashing against his grip. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? If you don't want things to get ugly, Miho growled, you had better start speaking the truth. Who are you really? As she looked up into Miho's eyes, an illusion of a terrifying, towering demon manifested behind him. The sheer pressure of his aura left her completely paralyzed with fear. She began to stammer, tears welling up in her eyes from pure terror. Can't you speak properly? Miho pressed, tightening his grip. I really don't know anything. Sunji sobbed, breaking down completely. Jean told me that if I wanted to join their crew, I had to get this tattoo. She promised she would give me the pills if I did. Miho let go of her wrist, staring at the mark. The faint scent lingering on this woman. I've definitely smelled it before back in the demon realm. His mind drifted back to a memory from his childhood. He had been exploring a forbidden sector of the realm alongside a young ram. Ram had hurried after him, calling out, "Rafis, where are you going? This area is strictly off limits." The young Rafis had spun around, a mocking smirk on his face. "What's the matter? Are you scared?" Annoyed, Ram frowned. "I'm not scared. I just don't want to get punished." Then scram, Rafis had snapped. "I can't do that. If I leave you alone, you're just going to cause another massive disaster." Ram sighed, looking around the dark, oppressive corridor as they walked deeper inside. "Rafis, do you know about this place?" "How should I know if you don't tell me?" "Being in a pitch-black place like this reminds me of a story," Ram murmured, looking at the shadows. "A story about those who possess sight that transcends their species. From what I know, there are two ways they lose their vision. Either a light is so blinding that they go blind, or they see absolutely nothing at all, and their vision simply withers away in a place as dark as this." Suddenly, Rafi stopped in his tracks, throwing an arm out to halt his companion. "Shut up, Ram. There's something ahead." Through the gloom, they saw a pale, motionless hand resting on the ground, clutching a strange flower. "What on earth is that?" Ram whispered. Ignoring the potential danger, Rafi stepped forward to inspect it. As they drew closer, Ram gasped. "Isn't that Jeremy Hill? Judging by his condition, he's long dead. But what are those flowers blooming all over his corpse?" Without a hint of hesitation, Rafi's reached down and ripped one of the flowers straight off the body. "The smell is absolutely revolting." Ram's eyes widened. This is a defiling flower." Back in the present, Miho snapped out of the memory. "The scent on this girl is identical to that flower." Sunji was still cowering on the bed, weeping and begging for mercy. Outside the hospital window, a black bat clung to the brick wall, its red eyes gleaming as it watched Miho through the glass. Inside the bat's mind, Barkin smiled. "So you've already found it? I knew you would. I'm truly looking forward to this." The scene shifts to an abandoned, dilapidated warehouse. This was Jin's turf, the epicenter of the tattoos, the hill crest, and the defiling flowers. Inside, several thugs were lounging around, discussing their operations. "Man, why is Boss Yomo so obsessed with that high school punk, Shaun?" one of them asked. Another thug cracked his knuckles. "It's not the kid he cares about. It's the application the kid is developing. That's what we need. Apparently, we're incorporating tech into our business model now." He held up a small blue, candy-like pill. "This is Blue Ribbon, the new drug boss Yomo developed. Don't underestimate it." A third thug scoffed. "You guys are insane. Didn't you hear about what happened to Sunji yesterday? Word is the side effects of this new batch are incredibly severe." "Who gives a crap?" the second thug muttered, tossing the pill into his mouth. "As long as the high is good, I don't care." As he tilted his head back, a fresh tattoo of the hill crest was visible on his neck. Suddenly, the warehouse doors creaked open. Miho stepped inside, his nose twitching as he sampled the air. The exact same stench. And there's the Hill family crest. He walked right up to the thugs, looking at them coldly. "Did you guys get those tattoos from Jin's place too?" The thugs blinked, completely caught off guard. "What's up with this weird kid? Are you a friend of Jin's? You should learn some manners when talking to your elders, brat." One of them stepped forward and aggressively pinched Miho's cheek. Without a word, Miho swung his arm, delivering a devastating slap that sent the man crashing violently into the concrete floor. The remaining thugs jumped to their feet, enraged. "Who the hell sent you?" Miho didn't answer with words. He simply lunged forward, his fist burying itself into the next thug's jaw. "Are you out of your damn mind? You're dead meat, kid." Another thug pulled out a switchblade and lunged at Miho, slashing wildly. Miho slipped the blade effortlessly, stepping inside the thug's guard and delivering a crushing counterpunch to his ribs. He then followed up with a vicious kick that sent the knife-wielding thug flying into a stack of crates. Miho stood over the groaning man, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "Where is Jean?" Suddenly, a low, guttural growl echoed through the warehouse. The thug with the yellow hair, who had taken the first brutal hit, slowly pushed himself up from the floor. His face was contorted, his veins bulging and turning an unnatural, blackened color. "I'm going to rip you apart," the yellow-haired thug hissed, his voice sounding entirely inhuman. Miho's eyes narrowed. This presence, the demonic energy inside him, is spiking. It's getting stronger. What the hell is this? The mutated thug lunged at Miho with terrifying speed. His movements completely changed. Miho analyzed, quickly dodging a swipe that shattered a wooden pillar. Does that drug artificially enhance human physical capabilities too? As Miho backpedaled to space himself, his heel caught against the leg of a fallen thug behind him. He lost his balance, stumbling backward onto the ground. Above him, the yellow-haired thug bared his teeth, completely consumed by the demonic surge. He leapt into the air, bringing both fists down in a crushing strike directly aimed at the fallen prince. Trapped on the ground, Miho was completely out of room to dodge. Meanwhile, in an upper office overlooking the warehouse floor, Jean Gi's was reviewing data on a tablet alongside a few elite members of the crew. A man lounging on a sofa yawned, looking over at her. Is the application still not finished? The programmer standing beside Jean bowed his head in a panic, sweating profusely. "I am incredibly sorry, sir. I've streamlined the process this time, so it won't take much longer, I promise." A red-haired man sitting across from them scoffed. "That's exactly what you said last time." "Oh, by the way, we managed to catch the rat who stole our blue ribbon shipment." In the corner of the office, a battered, bound thief sobbed quietly against the wall, trembling as he begged for his life. "I'm sorry, it was my fault. Please have mercy. Please give me another chance. I won't screw up again." The thief's desperate pleas echoed through the room. In front of him stood the red-haired boss, Yomo, holding a strange blue flower. The bound thief trembled violently, weeping and begging for mercy as Yomo brought the flower closer. Without a shred of hesitation, Yomo brought his hand down, brutally slamming the flower straight into the man's face and driving the stem deep into his eye socket. Jean could only watch in horrified silence as the thief screamed in agonizing pain, still crying out for mercy. Unmoved, Yomo plunged the flower into the man's other eye, leaving him writhing on the floor in absolute agony before he finally went completely still. "There are no second chances," Yomo said coldly, wiping his hands. "And I expect the rest of you to understand that perfectly." The surrounding thugs stood frozen in sheer terror. Jean was trembling, completely paralyzed by the display of casual brutality. Yomo cast a sharp glance toward her. "Stop making excuses and finish your assignment quickly." "Why, yes, sir," Jean stammered, nodding quickly. Once she managed to step outside the office, Jean collapsed against the wall, her heart hammering against her ribs. She pulled out her phone with shaking fingers and dialed a number. "If this keeps up, I'm going to end up dead too. Pick up, Shaun. Hurry up and pick up." Meanwhile, inside his room, Shaun noticed his phone buzzing. He reached over and answered it, but the voice on the other end wasn't Jin's. It was Miho. "I was planning on handling the investigation myself," Miho spoke into the receiver, "but the punks over here just wouldn't listen to reason." Shaun blinked, confused. "Miho, what are you talking about? Do you know a woman named Jean?" Miho asked directly. "I saw you take a call from her back at the cafe. Am I right?" Shaun gasped, his heart dropping into his stomach. "Ow, how do you know about her?" "Her name popped up right on your screen," Miho replied smoothly. "Now tell me, do you know where she operates?" "What do you even know, Jean?" Shaun panicked, his voice rising. "Don't tell me those thugs managed to drag you into this too." "No, it's nothing like that," Miho answered calmly. "I'm the one tracking her down. There's something I need to verify for myself." Shaun scrambled from his chair. "Where the hell are you right now?" "I'm currently at Jin's tattoo parlor, but the shop is completely empty." "Miho, listen to me," Shaun shouted. "You absolutely cannot get involved with her. Stay right there. I'm heading over now." Back at the empty tattoo shop, Miho hung up the phone and looked down at a stray cat sitting on the counter. "Hey, you little fur ball. I'm talking to you." Miho reached out and scooped the cat up by the scruff of its neck, holding it up to eye level. You can understand exactly what I'm saying, can't you? The cat merely blinked and offered a weak, innocent meow. Miho's eyes narrowed, a dangerous, crimson glint flashing within his pupils. Speak properly before I lose my patience. Terrified by the sudden, overwhelming aura, the cat's eyes widened in sheer panic, and a feminine voice squeaked out, "Why yes, my lord." Miho smirked. First it was a rat, then a bat yesterday, and now a cat. What exactly are you supposed to be? The cat trembled in his grip. I am a monitor from the demon realm, sent down to the human realm. My mission is to secretly keep tabs on the exiled prisoners without being detected. That is why I've been watching you, Lord Rafis. Miho analyzed the creature's presence. Her demonic energy is incredibly faint. Is she truly a demon? But I don't understand how you managed to spot me so easily, my lord. The cat whimpered. You stand out far too much, Miho retorted, tossing the cat onto the floor. And right now, you're standing on two legs just like a human. There's no point in questioning a mere familiar any further. Master of this creature, show yourself. Through the familiar's eyes back in the demon realm, Ram smiled. He figured it out even faster than I anticipated. Using the familiar as a medium, Ram's voice echoed directly from the cat's mouth. Well, you noticed me quite early, didn't you, Rafis? Is this your doing again, you utter bastard? Miho hissed, calling your old friend a bastard right out of the gate? How cold? Ram chuckled. What kind of scheme are you running this time? Miho demanded. Ram merely waved off the question, his tone nonchalant. Let's put that aside for a moment. Let me ask you something instead. A few things down there seem different from what I remember. Tell me, is an exiled prisoner normally supposed to be able to wield demonic power inside a human vessel? Power, Miho countered. Well, I suppose there are exceptions to every rule, Ram mused. You'll figure out on your own eventually. Is there anything else you want to ask me? Miho's expression turned incredibly serious. The devouring flower. Its scent is suffocatingly thick in this world. You've encountered it before, so you know damn well it's a forbidden entity even back home. So why am I sensing it right here in the human realm? Ram's playful demeanor vanished. The administration of the demon realm is already aware that the remnants of the Hill family have extended their roots into the human world. They're an incredibly persistent bloodline. We can't say for certain if they were entirely wiped out during your crusade. So it really is those bastards again, Miho muttered, his knuckles turning white. Are you telling me their surviving forces are hiding right under our noses? The cat's mouth twisted into a faint, sinister smirk. The human realm isn't what it used to be, Rafis. It has become a playground for all kinds of dark conspiracies. Honestly, this works out perfectly for you. Since you're already down there, why don't you go ahead and clean them all up? Clean them all up? Miho growled. What the hell are you playing at? Tell me what else you know. But before he could demand answers, the connection severed with a sharp snap, and the cat reverted back to a normal, mindless animal. Miho ground his teeth, his face contorted in absolute fury and frustration. Meanwhile, Jean was still pacing frantically outside the warehouse, staring at her phone. Why isn't this idiot picking up? Time is running out. Has he lost his damn mind? If he doesn't answer right now, we're both dead. Growing desperate, Jean dialed a different number. Over a local internet cafe, a thug named Song Jun was completely engrossed in a PC game when his phone rang. He picked it up to hear Jin's frantic voice roaring through the speaker. Song Jun, get over to the headquarters right now. We're going to drag Xiao here by his throat. Back at the tattoo shop, Miho looked down at the cat, which was now lazily licking its paw. If you're a monitor, you must have access to a wealth of information regarding this world, right? The cat paused, its eyes shifting as it realized it couldn't fool him. I suppose you could say that, my lord. As I rotate between monitoring the different prisoners, I receive the latest updates on basic human data, and my tracking capabilities are quite advanced. Then drop the act and revert to your true form, Miho commanded. The cat flinched, hesitating. Miho stepped closer, his human face momentarily morphing into a terrifying, demonic visage that exuded pure malice. Or would you prefer I force you out of it myself? Terrified to its very core, the cat screeched and erupted into a cloud of dark smoke. As the smoke cleared, a young demon girl collapsed onto the floor, trembling. Miho looked her up and down, unimpressed. Asterisk, she's incredibly weak. Ram must have had a specific reason for sending someone like her. Asterisk, what's your name? I do not possess a name, my lord, she whispered, keeping her head bowed. Fine. From now on, your name is Street, since I found you on the concrete, Miho declared coldly. Don't ever forget your origins. Despite his harsh tone, the girl's eyes lit up with profound joy at the honor of receiving a name from a high-ranking noble. Thank you. Thank you so much for granting me a name, Lord Rafis. Now, Miho sat back down, crossing his legs. Tell me everything you know about the human operations in this city. Nodding eagerly, Street began to detail every scrap of information she had gathered. At the same time, Shaun was sprinting through the city streets, his lungs burning as he headed toward the tattoo shop. Miho is in grave danger because of me, he thought, tears pricking his eyes. I should have refused them. I should have fought back until the very end. His mind flashed back to a few weeks prior. Shaun had just won a prestigious citywide technology award for an application he had developed entirely on his own. I couldn't believe it. I actually won. He had been walking out of the convention center, holding his trophy, when Jean and her gang abruptly cut him off. Jean had smirked, sizing him up. So, you're the little genius developer who won first place? I heard the prize money is worth millions. You're a highly valuable asset to us now. Throw him in the back of the car. Before he could even cry for help, he was shoved into the back of a black sedan, paralyzed with fear. Sitting in the seat across from him was the red-haired man, Yomo. Yomo had tossed a heavy briefcase onto the seat between them, snapping it open to reveal stacks of cash. What are you trembling for, kid? Look right here. This briefcase holds 5 million won in cold, hard cash. Now, hand over the source code for that application you built. Shaun had squeezed his eyes shut, shaking his head. I didn't create it to sell it to people like you. Yomo's gaze had turned icy. Do you honestly think you have a choice in this matter? Snapping back to the present, Shaun wiped the sweat from his forehead, pushing his legs to run faster. I have to get there before he encounters Jean. But as he rounded a sharp corner into an alleyway, a massive figure stepped out from the shadows, blocking his path. Shaun screeched to a halt, his blood running cold as he recognized the thug's face. Well, look at that, the thug chuckled, cracking his knuckles. We didn't even have to waste time hunting you down. Jean stepped out from behind the massive thug, her expression venomous. You're completely finished now, you miserable little brat. Shaun fell backward onto the pavement, hyperventilating as the gang surrounded him. Jean knelt down, grabbing him by his collar. From this moment on, your only purpose in life is to maintain that application for us. If you don't want to spend the rest of your miserable days locked in a concrete basement, you had better make sure it runs flawlessly. Shaun shook his head in despair, but Jean simply ignored his silent pleas. We will be monitoring your every move from the outside. Don't even think about pulling any stupid stunts. It's over, Shaun thought, staring blankly at the sky. Everything is ruined. Inside a hidden room within the main distribution facility, a tech-savvy thug wearing glasses tapped away at a computer terminal, looking over at Shaun, who was slumped in a chair. Is this kid seriously our master developer? He looks like a total loser. The bosses keep saying we absolutely need the system he built if we want to distribute Blue Ribbon on a massive scale. What did he even call this app? The thug scoffed. Even the name sounds like absolute garbage. The senior thug standing behind him slapped the back of his head. Shut your mouth and just deploy the application like you were told. Just then, the heavy iron doors slid open and Yomo walked into the server room. Is the infrastructure ready? He walked up to the monitors, his eyes gleaming with ambition. What Shaun created is the absolute core of our Blue Ribbon project. Once we map and secure the buyer's personal data through this platform, we can manipulate the market however we see fit. The real-time location sharing feature embedded within this app will be our ultimate weapon to scale this empire. The glasses-wearing thug swallowed hard. Are we finally launching the official distribution of Blue Ribbon across the territory? Boss? Yomo smirked, staring at the flashing map on the screen. Yes, it's time to introduce our product to the entire world. The following morning at school, the digital virus began to spread. Groups of students were huddled together in the hallways, staring intensely at their smartphones as they installed the newly launched app, rapidly adding one another just like a social media craze. What kind of app is this anyway? One student asked, tapping a screen. Dude, you get instant cashback just for adding friends, another replied excitedly. They give you 30,000 won per referral. I just made nearly 100,000 won just by adding 3 people from our class. The allure of easy money spread like wildfire, and within hours, practically every student was urging their peers to download it. But the real trap lay within the launch event registration screen. Sign up now and receive a free sample of Blue Ribbon diet pills. The advertisement on the app read, "Experience the revolutionary Blue Ribbon weight loss formula absolutely free. A certified functional health supplement fully approved by the Food and Drug Administration." The students, completely oblivious, signed up in droves. Watching the live metrics from her phone inside her car, Jean let out a triumphant laugh. The user base spiked this much in a single day? This is absolutely insane. Boss Yomo is a literal genius. Turning her attention to the driver, her face darkened. Did you track down the bastard who destroyed my tattoo parlor yet? The driver tensed, sweating. Well, I checked the CCTV footage thoroughly, boss. But a stray bat flew directly into the lens and blocked the view right when it happened. Jean slammed her hand against the dashboard. A bat? Are you mocking me? What about the backup cameras in the alley? A rat was sitting directly over that lens, ma'am. It makes absolutely no sense. Before Jean could explode in anger, the glasses thug in the passenger seat received a notification on his tablet. He turned to her urgently. Boss, the new shipment of raw Blue Ribbon materials has just arrived at the docks. We need to move. Meanwhile, on the outer edge of an industrial container yard, Miho stood near a stack of rusty crates, with Street standing closely behind him. What are you doing? Miho asked, glancing back. Street, who had temporarily reverted to her human form, shifted uncomfortably. My apologies, Lord Rafis. I feel like I've gained a bit of physical weight in this realm recently. Miho ignored her complaint. What about the scouting mission I assigned to you yesterday? It was an incredibly difficult task due to the heavy concealment, Street reported, bowing her head. But I successfully located the primary storage vault. Miho's mind drifted back to the thug he had pulverized in the alleyway. He recalled seeing a small, blue candy dropped on the ground, which he had picked up to inspect. As I suspected, the lingering scent belongs to the devouring flower. They are manufacturing this substance to trigger artificial awakenings. But it is fundamentally impossible to cultivate the devouring flower without a living spiritual host. How on earth did these mere humans acquire a plant that went completely extinct even within the demon realm? The product you order me to investigate is distributed under the name Blue Ribbon, Street explained, breaking his train of thought. It is currently circulating among the human population in various innocent-looking forms, such as dietary supplements and specialized vitamins. And what about the raw supply chain? Miho pressed. Because the production is heavily guarded and entirely underground, tracing the exact origin of the raw flora has been nearly impossible, she admitted timidly. Miho's eyes flashed with irritation. So you brought me absolutely nothing of value. And no, that's not true, my lord. Street panicked, dropping to her knees. The finished product is being consolidated here in massive quantities because the volume is too large to hide. If we follow the specific density of the leaking demonic energy, we can pinpoint the exact factory. Then you should have led with that. Move out, Miho ordered. Street hesitated, stammering, but Master Ram explicitly instructed me to always accompany you and wait for his commands. Miho stopped dead in his tracks, turning slowly to glare down at her. Ram? Are you telling me you're reporting every single detail of my movements back to him? Forgive me, Street cried out, trembling under the sudden pressure. I am merely a low-ranking creature bound to follow the directives of the High Lords. Miho stepped closer, his shadow completely enveloping her. Make your choice right now. Do you serve me, or do you serve Ram? Who is your true master? Street looked up, her mind racing with absolute terror and confusion. If you choose to pledge your allegiance strictly to me, Miho whispered, his voice echoing with ancient authority, I will ensure that you are never forced to crawl as a low-ranking creature ever again. An image of a grand, evolved demonic form flashed through Street's mind. Overwhelmed by the promise of absolute power, she immediately prostrated herself before him, pressing her forehead against the dirt. I offer my blood, my flesh, and my eternal soul to your darkness, Lord Rafis. Miho reached out, placing a hand atop her head as a dark, binding crest manifested between them. I, Rafis Findica, hereby accept your vow and elevate you as my personal subordinate. A visible aura of severed, tracking magic erupted from Street's body. With the contract overwritten, Ram could no longer spy on them through her senses. Miho smirked, turning toward the rows of metal structures ahead. Now, lead the way to where the blue ribbon is gathered. They navigated through the maze of the shipyard until they stopped in front of a massive, isolated shipping container. This is the exact coordinate, Street whispered, her eyes wide. The concentration of demonic energy leaking from this container is overwhelming. Open it, Miho commanded. Street stepped forward and yanked on the handles, but they didn't budge. It's secured with heavy industrial chains and a reinforced lock, my lord. Miho stepped up, pushing her aside. Step back. I'll take care of it. With a swift, magically reinforced strike, Miho smashed his fist directly into the heavy iron chains, shattering them into pieces. He kicked the heavy metal doors wide open. The moment the seal broke, a repulsive, nauseating stench wafted out into the open air. Both of them instinctively covered their noses. The entire container was packed to the ceiling with crates of blue ribbon. The foul scent instantly triggered a memory from Miho's childhood back in the demon realm. He had been standing in a desolate wasteland, being trained by his uncle, Lord Barkin. My incredibly arrogant and utterly uncute nephew. Barkin had laughed boisterously, looking down at the bruised young boy. You are still far too weak and pathetic to carry the Findica name. How dare you? You creepy, vulgar old uncle, the young Rafis had shouted, coughing up dust. If you refuse to show proper respect to your elders, then you might as well just die. Barkin roared, unleashing a massive shockwave that struck Rafis dead on. Rafis had crossed his arms to block the impact, but the sheer force threw him backward, sending him plummeting over the edge of a massive, pitch-black abyss. You absolute psychopath of an uncle, he screamed as he fell. Barkin leaped down into the chasm right after him, landing gracefully on the rocky floor below. He glanced over at the groaning boy. Oh, look at that. You're actually still alive. But as the two of them looked around the bottom of the abyss, their words caught in their throats. Before them lay a catastrophic mountain of decaying corpses, and growing directly out of the rotting flesh were millions of vibrant, pulsing blue flowers. So this is where they were hiding all along, Rafis had realized, his eyes wide with horror. In the ancient texts of the cosmos, it was written that when light and darkness were originally separated, creatures that could never coexist were born in eternal conflict. Yet, a forbidden entity began to grow within the cracks, a parasite that could not be absorbed by either the heavens or the abyss. During the primitive age of humanity, this flower first bloomed where the blood of the fallen gathered. It was a cosmic anomaly fueled by a singular desire to devour the remnants of banished heavenly beings and the torn flesh of slaughtered demons, ultimately bringing about the absolute destruction of the world. Back in the past, Rafis and his uncle had spent days unleashing hellfire to incinerate every single blossom within that chasm. Back in the present, Miho stared at the crates, his jaw tight. We were supposed to have burned every single one of them to ash back then. Street looked inside, horrified. But how can an amount this massive exist right here? This flower shouldn't even belong in the human realm. This place is a middle world, Miho muttered, his eyes narrowing. A realm where light and darkness intersect. The human world doesn't belong to either faction, making it the perfect breeding ground. According to human history, their ancestors supposedly eradicated these anomalies thousands of years ago. If these flowers are manifesting in both realms simultaneously, then there is undoubtedly a mastermind pulling the strings from the shadows. I was wondering where that breaking sound came from. A sharp voice cut through the dark. How dare you rats crawl into our territory? Do you have any idea whose domain you're trespassing on? Miho and Street turned around to see Jean standing at the entrance of the alleyway, flanked by dozens of armed thugs. The thug next to her suddenly pointed a finger at Miho, his eyes widening. Wait a minute, boss. That's him. That's the freak who broke into our parlor and beat up our guys. Jin's eyes flared with pure venom. So it's you. Who the hell do you think you are, breaking into my shop? And how did a brat like you manage to sniff out this facility? Miho looked at her completely unbothered. Jean, are you the one running this entire operation? The kid is talking nonsense. Jean sneered, crossing her arms. What if I am? What are you going to do about it? Do you even have the slightest clue what the raw material of your product actually is? Miho asked coldly. Raw materials? Jean laughed mockingly. Are you trying to interrogate me for our corporate trade secrets now, brat? Miho sighed, shaking his head. Honestly, it's none of my business what happens to this world. But leaving a foul stench like this completely unchecked, it leaves an incredibly bad taste in my mouth. Jean turned to her men, her voice dropping to a threatening register. You all know what Boss Yomo does to people who screw up twice, right? Consider this a special bonus. She reached into her coat and threw several handfuls of blue ribbon candies into the crowd. The thugs cheered maniacally, catching the pills. Shut up and consume it. Every last bit. Jean ordered. The men scrambled like wild animals, shoving the drugs down their throats. Miho glanced back at the demon girl. Street, with your current level of suppressed demonic power, you'll only end up being a liability. Hide yourself. Why, yes, my lord. Street quickly scurried into the shadows of the container. In front of Miho, the thugs began to convulse. Their veins turned a dark, blackened purple, bulging across their skin as their eyes completely rolled back, leaking a sickening dark aura. They looked less like humans and more like low-level demons. Tear him to pieces, Jean barked, pointing a finger at Miho. The mutated mob roared, charging forward simultaneously. Miho watched them approach, a dark smile spreading across his face. Foolish creatures completely lost in their own arrogance. They don't even comprehend what kind of madness they are intoxicating themselves with. Come at me, all of you. The demonic energy in this place is absolutely overflowing. Miho lunged into the fray, engaging them one by one. He unleashed a barrage of precise, devastating strikes, shattering bones, and sending men flying with effortless kicks and punches. But as the numbers kept pressing in, one of the larger mutated thugs managed to slip through his guard, delivering a blindside blow that threw Miho off balance. Miho stumbled, his foot catching on a piece of debris, causing him to crash heavily onto the concrete floor. A massive, mutated brute immediately loomed over him, driving a heavy, boulder-like boot down toward Miho's chest. Miho crossed his forearms, barely managing to block the crushing weight of the strike, the force cracking the pavement beneath his back. From the shadows, Street gasped in absolute panic. Jean, watching from safety, let out a delighted, vindictive laugh as the rest of the mob surged forward to swarm the fallen boy. Trapped on the ground, Miho realized that the sheer volume of the drug they had consumed had granted them remarkable physical strength. Is it because they overdosed on the raw essence? Deciding to shift tactics, Miho channeled a burst of energy into his leg, kicking the brute off him. He rolled over and smashed his fist directly into one of the large distribution crates stacked inside the container. The wood shattered instantly, unleashing a massive, concentrated cloud of the raw, blue chemical powder directly into the air, completely enveloping the attacking mob. The thugs immediately began to violently choke and cough, their lungs burning as they involuntarily inhaled the dense, airborne powder. Standing amidst the swirling blue haze, Miho slowly rose to his feet, a dark, terrifying smirk breaking across his face as his eyes glowed with pure, unadulterated malice. "I absolutely despise the scent of the lowly," Miho whispered, his aura flaring as the surrounding poison began to fuel his core. "But demonic energy that propagates pure malice reacts far more intensely. My strength is surging." Miho moved like a hurricane. Inhaling the raw chemical powder hadn't weakened him. It triggered something feral within his core. He went completely berserk, tearing through the mutated thugs with terrifying ease. Every desperate swing they threw met empty air. Miho dodged effortlessly, weaving through the mob like a shadow before counterattacking with brutal precision. Bones snapped, and agonizing screams echoed through the container yard as he methodically broke their limbs and threw them around like rag dolls. Sensing an opening, a massive brute tried to ambush Miho from behind. Without even turning around, Miho drove a blind, back fist strike straight into the giant's jaw. Despite his relatively small human frame, Miho grabbed the obese thug by his collar, lifted him clean off the ground, and slammed him spine first into the concrete. Jean watched from the sidelines, her jaw dropped in absolute horror. What the hell is this? She panicked, her knees shaking. How is a kid defeating all of them like it's nothing? Looking at Miho's cold, predatory glare, she didn't see a high school student anymore. She saw a demon. He's not human. He's a monster. Meanwhile, far away from the blood-soaked shipyard, a high-end theater was hosting a prestigious ballet recital. Up in the luxury VIP box, an elegant, wealthy woman watched intently through binoculars as her daughter glided gracefully across the stage. A proud, snobbish smile formed on her lips. "Beautiful," she murmured to herself. "You truly are my daughter." With a flawless performance of this caliber, joining the Venus Ballet Company will be an absolute breeze. The heavy velvet doors of the VIP suite suddenly swung open, and Yomo stepped inside, flanked by 2 armed guards. "Ah, our most valued VIP client," Yomo greeted, a sinister smile on his face. The woman flinched, turning around in indignation. "Who do you think you are? How dare low-life thugs like you barge into my private suite? Do you have any idea who I am? Thugs? Oh, please forgive my lack of manners." Yomo chuckled, gesturing to a guard who carried a heavy glass jar filled with bright blue capsules. "We received a massive bulk order for blue ribbon from your account, so I decided to personally handle the delivery to ensure top-tier service." The woman's anger quickly melted into anxiety upon seeing the sheer volume of the drug. Why did you bring so much? Is it truly safe?" Yomo tilted his head, his smile widening. "Are you seriously asking that now? You already fed a massive dose to your precious daughter right before she went out on that stage, didn't you?" The mother turned her gaze back to the stage. Below, her daughter, Yuria, was moving with uncanny, supernatural agility. Her leaps were impossibly high, her spins dangerously fast. But suddenly, Yuria's movements grew erratic. Her eyes rolled back, and white foam began to violently spill from her lips. Yomo gasped in mock surprise. "Oh dear, it looks like the raw effects are kicking in much faster than anticipated. Just how much did you give her?" Down on the stage, Yuria's legs buckled. She collapsed heavily onto the wooden floor, slipping into a violent seizure before going completely limp. The music shrieked to a halt, and the audience erupted into localized panic. "Yuria!" the mother screamed, rushing to the glass railing. She turned back to Yomo, her face contorted in a mix of grief and blind rage. "You psychopathic liar. You explicitly told me there were absolutely no side effects." "Of course there aren't, provided you adhere to the recommended human dosage," Yomo replied coldly, completely unfazed by the tragedy. "But looking at her now, your daughter's mind is completely fractured. She has no hope of a normal recovery. The only way she will ever function or live a life of false happiness from now on is if you keep buying and feeding her blue ribbon for the rest of her days. But hey, as our premium VIP client, I'm sure you can afford it." Do you have any idea how much money and time I invested in her? The mother wailed, dropping to her knees, completely broken. Before Yomo could twist the knife any further, his phone buzzed violently. It was an urgent incoming video call from Jean. Irritated by the interruption, Yomo answered it. What is it, Jean? I'm in the middle of a business deal. The screen showed Jean trembling uncontrollably, the background behind her littered with broken bodies. B-Boss Yomo, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me, he's... Suddenly, a hand snatched the phone from Jin's grip, and Miho's face filled the screen. His cold eyes stared directly into Yomo's. So, you're the trash responsible for manufacturing this blue ribbon garbage. Yomo's expression instantly darkened with intense rage. Who the hell are you? And what did you do to my men? So you really are the ringleader, Miho replied smoothly, ignoring the question. Stay right there. I'm coming to find you next. With a sharp click, the line went dead. Yomo ground his teeth, shoving the phone back into his pocket. He glanced at the weeping mother, then at his guards. Change of plans. We need to leave immediately. Back at the shattered shipping container, Street cautiously stepped out from her hiding spot, looking around at the unconscious thugs. My lord, why exactly do humans willingly consume such dangerous narcotics? Miho wiped a speck of blue powder from his jacket. Because they are foolish, arrogant creatures. Even when they knowingly poison themselves, they possess an absurd amount of self-confidence, foolishly believing they are strong enough to avoid addiction. Nobody truly trusts them, so they grow dependent on trivial, fleeting illusions. Suddenly, Street's ears twitched, and she sensed a massive wave of dark energy approaching. Lord Rafi's, something is coming. The metal gates of the shipyard groaned as a black luxury sedan tore through the entrance, screeching to a halt right in front of the container. The door flew open, and Yomo stepped out, his eyes instantly locking onto the destruction, and then onto Miho. So, you're the little pest who wrecked my tattoo parlor, Yomo hissed, stepping forward. Were you looking for me, brat? I couldn't care less about an insignificance like you, Miho replied calmly, crossing his arms. Tell me where you harvested the devouring flower. A normal human shouldn't have the capacity to obtain such a plant. Yomo flinched, a flicker of shock crossing his features. He just referred to me as a normal human. Don't tell me this guy is... Yomo's mind flashed back to his twisted past. He remembered standing in a dark, dilapidated apartment, brutally kicking a frail, sickly man who lay bleeding on the floor. Give me more. Give me the drugs, you useless old bastard. Yomo had screamed, delivering another vicious kick. The man on the floor was his own father. The old man gasped for air, his eyes lifeless. You've been an addict your entire life, and now you're going to die from it too? With a final, weak rattle, his father's body went completely cold. Yomo had lost his mind, stomping on the corpse in a blind rage. If you die like this, where the hell am I supposed to get my supply? Wake up, you pathetic piece of trash. But then, the air in the room turned ice cold. To Yomo's absolute horror, his father's corpse slowly began to rise, its limbs snapping into unnatural angles. The dead eyes opened, glowing with an eerie, crimson light. I thought you were dead. Yomo had stammered, falling backward. The possessed corpse looked down at him, its voice echoing with a dual, demonic resonance. Are you weeping over the demise of this mortal boy? Yomo realized his father was being used as a meat puppet by a terrifying entity. Yet, his fear was quickly overshadowed by his horrific addiction. Weeping? He's finally dead. Why should I be sad? I don't need a useless, bankrupt father. I just need those drugs. The demon grinned through the corpse's mouth. Oh, is that so? Then let us strike a bargain. Use your father's corpse as a living host to cultivate this devouring flower. Through his flesh, a covenant of absolute trust shall be forged between us, and you shall receive everything your dark heart desires. The entity extended a skeletal hand, presenting a pulsing, ethereal blue flower. If anyone should appear to shake your loyalty or try to destroy the devouring flower, eliminate them without mercy. My divine favor shall protect you. In a frenzy of greed, Yomo had snatched the flower and brutally driven the stem deep into his own father's dead chest. Back in the present, Yomo stared at Miho, his face twisting into a manic grin. Did you just call me a normal human? Is your hearing impaired? Or is it just your brain? Miho retorted. The dark divinity granted me a brand new existence. Yomo roared. Miho sighed, having already deduced the truth. A proxy contract with a rogue demon. I don't know what kind of parasitic garbage you pledged your pathetic life to, but both that entity and you are utterly tragic. How dare you insult my god? Yomo bellowed, his aura erupting. Bring me his head. He ordered his remaining elite guards. Street immediately squeaked in terror and bolted behind a stack of wooden crates to hide. Miho cracked his neck, stepping forward. I'm getting bored of this choreography. Let's wrap this up quickly. As a brutal clash erupted in the container yard, an ambulance raced through the city streets with its sirens blaring. Inside, the distraught mother held Yuria's cold hand, weeping uncontrollably as paramedics pumped oxygen into her daughter's lungs. Back at the gang's hidden headquarters, the guards watching over Shaun were completely oblivious to the chaos, glued to their tablets. Ever since we launched that I'm Here app, our order volume has literally gone to the moon. One thug laughed, slapping his knee. Expanding our premium VIP client base nationwide is going to be effortless now. I heard Boss Yomo is already negotiating supply lines into the Chinese and Japanese black markets. The other guard added, lighting a cigarette. If anyone can pull off an international empire, it's him. This is legendary. Sitting tied to a chair in the corner, Shaun stared at the floor, his heart sinking into absolute despair. It's all because of the application I built. The poison is spreading across the borders like a virus. Please, someone, anyone, stop this madness. Back at the shipyard, Miho stood over the crumpled forms of Yomo's elite guards, having dismantled them in seconds. Jean, backing away in sheer terror, squeaked out to Yomo, "Be boss. I told you, he's not a normal high schooler. He must be part of a rival syndicate that created a competing drug." Miho paused, his eyebrows arching in genuine surprise. A rival drug? You're accusing me of manufacturing narcotics now? How insulting. Before he could finish his sentence, the air pressure shifted violently. Yomo blindsided him, moving with monstrous speed fueled by the demon's blessing. Miho managed to cross his arms just in time to block a devastating punch, but the sheer force drove him backward across the dirt. Yomo didn't give him a chance to breathe, unleashing a relentless, rapid-fire volley of strikes. Miho found himself entirely on the defensive, his arms vibrating from the sheer impact of each blow. This one is entirely different from those low-level mutants, Miho noted, his teeth clenched. How are you still standing after taking my blows? Yomo screamed, his strikes growing heavier. Have you also received a blessing from a god? He belongs to my prayers alone. You have no right to his glory. Miho ducked under a wild hook, the wind from the punch ripping through the air. Now, I finally understand. The devouring flower, this suffocatingly repulsive scent. The pathetic god you worship so fervently. It's Bower Hill, isn't it? Yomo froze, his eyes widening in absolute shock. Ow, how do you know that name? How dare a mortal worm like you utter the name of my lord? Miho let out a cold, mocking laugh. To think a proud, demonic bloodline has resorted to relying on a pathetic human junkie like you. There truly is no depth the cowards of the demon realm won't sink to. Do not insult the deity who took pity on my suffering. Yomo shrieked, completely losing his mind. Took pity on you? Miho scoffed, his eyes flashing dangerous crimson. You must have looked incredibly pathetic for him to hand you a scrap of his power, especially considering that Bower Hill himself is currently trembling and hiding like a rat in the shadows. Shut up. You aren't fit to speak his name. Yomo went completely berserk. He unleashed the absolute maximum output of his corrupted demonic power, a thick, purple aura erupting around him that caused the sickening, putrid scent of the devouring flower to fill the yard. Anyone who insults Lord Bower will be slaughtered by my bare hands. Yomo lunged, driving his knee straight into Miho's midsection with the force of a battering ram. The impact knocked the wind out of Miho, and before he could recover, Yomo grabbed him by his collar and violently slammed him into the concrete floor. Miho gasped, completely pinned down as Yomo raised a massive, darkened fist to crush his skull. The blue ribbon, Lord Bauer's glory. It all belongs to me. Yomo screamed, his sanity entirely gone. From her hiding spot, Street wrung her hands in absolute panic, tears streaming down her face as she watched her new master take a brutal beating. My lord is pushing his human vessel to the absolute limit. If only we were back in the demon realm, he could unleash his true, catastrophic power and erase this insect in a second. In a completely separate pocket of reality, watching the events unfold through a scrying pool, stood Lord Barkin and Ram. Well, look at that, Ram murmured, tapping his chin. It seems the human test subject for the devouring flower has achieved full synchronization with the parasite. Even though Rafis possesses a human vessel, he still carries his original demonic bloodstone inside his soul. I assumed he could easily suppress a low-born test subject like that punk. But if this keeps up, his human vessel will shatter, and Rafi's soul will fade into the void forever. Barkin chuckled, completely unbothered as he crossed his massive arms. Ram, let me ask you a question. Do you know what Rafi's detests more than anything else in existence? Ram blinked, thinking it over. The boy detests practically everything, so it's quite difficult to pinpoint his absolute greatest hatred. Though, honestly, his stubborn, unpleasant personality seems to have been inherited directly from a certain uncle. Watch your mouth, Snake. I can still smash your face in from here. Barkin grinned wildly. The boy has severe mysophobia. He absolutely cannot tolerate anything that is fundamentally filthy or contaminated. Back in the dust-filled shipyard, Yomo's shadow loomed over Miho. But just as Yomo brought his fist down, Miho caught the punch barehanded. A chilling silence fell over the area. Miho's eyes weren't just glowing. They were burning with a terrifying, absolute darkness. Filthy, Miho whispered, his voice dripping with profound disgust. Yomo gasped, trying to pull his hand back, but it was locked in a vice grip. Miho glared up at him, a look of pure loathing on his face. I've had enough of this. Your body, your breath, it is utterly repulsive. Miho shattered Yomo's fingers with a single, casual squeeze, causing the gang boss to scream in agony. Even though I'm only relying on my human left hand, Miho thought to himself, the resonant energy feels exactly like my original form. I don't want to touch this contaminated trash a second longer. Suddenly, a brilliant, black and crimson aura erupted from Miho's fist, illuminating the dark container yard. Moving at a speed that completely bypassed the human eye, Miho launched himself upward. Let's bring this pathetic comedy to a swift end. Yomo didn't even see the movement. How? How can a mere child possess a striking velocity like this? From the shadows, Street let out a joyful squeal, sensing the awakening of her master's primordial power. Miho's face was inches from Yomo's, his expression deadpan. You call me a normal human? Miho asked, his voice echoing with the authority of a high demon lord. Huma my foot. Miho delivered a devastating straight punch directly into Yomo's chest. The shockwave shattered the surrounding crates, and Yomo was launched backward like a cannonball, crashing through 3 metal container doors before tumbling into the dirt. Jean collapsed to her knees, completely paralyzed by fear, unable to even scream. Yomo coughed up black blood, staggering back to his feet like a zombie, his mind refusing to accept reality. Ooh, what the hell are you? Keep your disgusting, foul mouth shut, Miho commanded, appearing in front of him instantly. He delivered a brutal uppercut, launching Yomo into the air before spinning around to hammer him back down to the ground. Watching the display through the scrying pool, Ram's jaw dropped. He completely inverted the battle order in an instant. Barkin laughed uproariously, slapping his knee. I told you. The brat was probably losing his mind from having to smell that rotting flower essence for so long. He was struggling to fight because the sheer filth of his opponent was making him nauseous. But the moment his misophobia was pushed to the absolute limit, it stimulated his core, allowing him to force open the floodgates and wield a fraction of his original Rafi's power. Ram frowned, deeply concerned. Don't tell me he's bypassing the cosmic restrictions. Even with a demonic bloodstone, a sinner's human vessel shouldn't be physically capable of channeling the pure laws of the demon realm. That's because Rafi's isn't some run-of-the-mill sinner. Barkin smiled proudly. After all, out of everyone in our bloodline, that boy is the one who resembles me the most. Back in a shattered alley, Miho stood over the battered, trembling form of Yomo. He stepped onto the boss's chest, looking down at him like a bug. Hey, junkie, consider yourself exceptionally fortunate that I cannot legally commit execution while trapped inside this human vessel. Yomo's eyes vibrated with madness. This is impossible. How could I lose? I received the divine blessing of Lord Bauer. The blue ribbon. Bauer's power is absolute. Miho pulled his fist back, the dark aura condensing into a singular, highly concentrated point of energy on his knuckles. Stop looking away, trash. I'll finish this without taking your pathetic life. With a sonic boom, Miho drove his fist straight into Yomo's face. The sheer kinetic force drove Yomo's head violently back, embedding it deep into the fractured concrete wall behind him. The gang boss's eyes rolled back, and he went completely unconscious, pinned to the wall like a broken doll. Miho stood back, dusting off his uniform, a look of profound relief washing over his face. Finally, that horrific bad breath has subsided a little.